What the fuck? Resonance of Fate is one of the most confusingly difficult games I have ever played, where 1 minute you have a story cutscenes that show some post-apocalyptic society living out in this giant gear tower ruled by a robot computer, and then after 5 hours of grinding and gameplay just so you can beat the next boss, where mind you, the combat is sick as heck, to then have a cutscene go, why is this happening? You have one of the most unique gameplay systems in a JRPG, where you become American to defeat your enemies, and different types of weapons determine the damage you do. But then you throw a grenade, and why did I suddenly level up? Huh? Wait, why are we in reindeer costumes now throwing presents at kids? It is a game where it chucks every tutorial at you at once if you feel like doing it. Yep, it's optional. And this one NPC even goes to you afterwards. Bro, did you really do all the tutorials in 1 day? Are you stupid or something? And because of this difficulty in explanation, you have no idea why running around does different damage as opposed to Tony Hawk jumping over them. Then you're suddenly in cutscenes that feel so disjointed after having grinded for 10 hours straight. But then when you beat the game and read the Wikipedia article on the story, you go, yeah, it was alright, I guess. Resonance of Fate was released on PlayStation 3 and Xbox Full Revolution in 2010, being published by Sega and developed by Tri-Ace, who are mostly known for the Valkyrie series, Star Ocean, and helping out on... before then making a Star Ocean game that I would love to cover in depth more in the future, as it caused them to go insolvent. Huh? Oh no, they are fine right now. Look, they're recruiting. Maybe I should apply. I'm a YouTuber. The game also got a PC PS4 re-release with the name 4K HD Remaster, because as we all know, adding new tech terms into products will totally make them better and relevant 10 years later. But I'm being serious because nothing was changed apart from the visuals, and they even cut things like outfits and an exploit that cuts 20 hours off your gameplay. I'm being 100% serious. Wow, maybe 97%? For this video, I'll be playing the authentic PS3 version, which I bought in 2017 when I worked an office job and was bored during my days that I would scour bargain sites to just buy JRPGs that I had no clue if they were good, but I would surely make a YouTube video on them soon afterwards. So yes, the footage is 720p actual PS3 hardware. If this offends you, I don't know, get new eyeballs. The PS3 was the embodiment of, wow, new tech! And then you'd play the games on your TV and you'd realize they just look like this. And I love it so much for that, you little 720p machine, you! Resonance of Fate is set in the future, where humanity lives in this Babylon-like tower, not really knowing much of the outside world. And much of the story I'm telling you is from me reading a Wikipedia article after beating the game and being like, oh, I don't get it. Just know you play as 3 mercenaries where you do things in this Tower of Basel, where the higher up you live, the richer you are. Wow, I was like, it's a metaphor or something. Now from the credits, the game devs just worked on Tri-Ace games, which I'm not too familiar with that style, but one composer did the music for like Goat Gravity Rush, and Motoi Sakuraba, who is known for the Tales of and Souls music. So yeah, the music in this game is good. It's funny because you have these good devs working on the game. I mean, they helped make my favorite game ever, and yet, after this game, I felt so empty inside. Because was those 30 hours worth it? Did I really need to spend 2 hours of my life fighting this old man? In real life, not in the game. Yes, this was touted as a difficult game. When you type Resonance of Fate story explained into YouTube, you don't find any videos going into the story because all of them are trying to help you beat the game. And the best one being 40 minutes long. Video essay level just to help you actually understand how to shoot guns. So many videos from 14 years ago on nearly every aspect, how to grind, best farming methods, best weapons to use, because this game has so many walls that hit you, and other JRPGs, it's like a shared osmosis. We know that if we die to a boss, you're meant to go out into the field and hunt slimes, but Resonance does this numerous times, forcing you away from that minimal story cutscene to spend 1 hour fighting an armored elephant. Why did you do this, Tri-Ace?
You got some attitude, mister?
Well, they wanted the game to focus on a small area in a post-apocalyptic time period with combat based on guns. Yeah, everything about this game was carefully planned, nothing cut from development. This is what they wanted you to play, where they wanted to make something fresh to the RPG market, which I think they vastly succeeded. You will never see a JRPG play like this ever again, mixing Max Payne bullet time with position-based movement like a Valkyrie Chronicles game. In fact, the combat style is based on movies like The Matrix and Rebellion, one of which I have seen a few years ago, and I didn't think it was that good. It's amusing at these interviews with IGN where the director is like, yeah, you know, we actually wanted to make you play as only one character, but then your stupid AI teammates would die off camera, so it would be more difficult. And we don't want that, do we? And then he gives the most generic non-answer to gun customization, like, yeah, you can customize your guns, can't we all? Why, you want me to elaborate on that? It's just customization. But then you see what the actual customization looks like.
Goodness!
Hey, Tri-Ace has been a big supporter of the Xbox 360. Do you think the Xbox 360 is gaining momentum in Japan? The director's response? Not really. They did say they weren't making the game for the Western market, they just made it to have fun. Wow. Really?
Cook.
And they hope gamers who fell out of the typical RPG antics would come back in droves to spend 10 hours using a gun to defeat this car monster abomination. And how did it sell? Well, almost 150k copies in the first week in Japan. And there's no real sales figures in the West, but then you see that it was also released in the same week as... Bro, they stood no chance! And now they help work on the sequels. It was also Tri-Ace's first game to be published by Sega because most of their games were published by Square Enix. And Sega was looking to break into the RPG market, however in Japan, the title was gonna be called Resonance of Fate or Resonance of Time, but Sega asked it to be changed to End of Eternity, as a lot of Japanese games were having endings in their names. Like, you know, fantasy, that is final, but it ends up making 16 games after that. And now all its legacy is that it's dress-up items in a Hatsune Miku game, the characters are put into that Remove From Stores Project X Zone games, and a remaster that removed content. The only thing you'll see pop up is Twitter clips of this sick action gameplay, but not many people actually stuck with it past the first few hours because of the difficulty. And I can say with no joke, this is one of the most grindiest games I have played, because for so many hours you're in combat, it will take you 10 hours to actually understand and a confusing map layout where you gotta use resources to even walk around, to then a story that is only told around chapter starts and endings when you beat a mission, meaning there are just hours of non-stop gameplay, meaning you forget what's even happening in the story, and so when you look it up afterwards, you're like, wow, really? That was the story? Why didn't they show that in the game? Because the story can be heartfelt. It can be as deep as a Nier game. It has all the pieces to the puzzle of an exceptional RPG, one that will break through to god tier status, being remembered, having all those tropes you know in the deep JRPG, plus the added benefit of action gameplay that would sorely appeal to Western gamers, but it stumbles a little bit with its execution. Wait, no, not that execution! Bro, I can't explain this shit. So the game, look, I'll explain the gameplay as we go. It's more easier that way. Begins where you just install your game on your hard drive on the PlayStation 3. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a game do this. It makes the loading actually bearable on this monster, which I dread to replay any games here. Oh, the PS3 running in the void as Ezio never getting to stab a Renaissance man because I have to wait for the models to load in. Oh, woe is me. And you know, these pre-hype cutscenes that play a CGI trailer that shows you nothing you'll expect in the game. Well, it's actually super important to the game's lore, but I'm sure most people will skip it. Where it's just this guy and a priest hunting this frenzied person, and what looks like they're killing him with 2 gunshots. So yeah, right from the get-go, I have no idea who these 3 are. Is that a vampire? Are we a vampire channel now? Why does this guy have super speed? What's the priest doing? It reminds me of Hellsing, but I can tell you this has nothing to do with vampires. Oh. Well, the game starts with this girl with black hair walking out over this cog city and jumping. However, this guy catches her, somehow not breaking his arm.
Don't look away.
But I
way? Which way?
Down.
So these are two of your main characters. How did they survive? As 2 years later, we have our main trio, Leanne, that girl now dyed her hair blonde, Zephyr, the cool, edgy guy who saved her, and Vacheron, the guy who's voiced by Nolan North on a PS3 game.
Get in on the subway taste for adventure.
So this is Ebel, one of the cities on level 4 of the Basil Cog Tower, which is in the middle of this dead earth, where the rich live up top and it gets poorer the further you go down. We 3 are mercenaries, hired guns, and you can press L1 to change which character you'll run around as, where the goal of every single chapter is to run over to the guild to pick up side missions, which are the main way you'll get money, but not the best way. But these optional missions sometimes give you helpful items, but they never seem to involve the main quest. It's characters that will just say one line of dialogue, make you go down and fetch something for them, so there's no actual need to do these. You could just beeline for the main story, which is detailed in your mission memo. And these side quests are also annoying in that you see them on the board and you still have to actually go to the person to then accept the quest, then you go and do the fetch quest or monster kill, and then you return back to complete it. As now you're meant to go into the arena for the tutorial, where you see this world map and you think, wow, that's a lot of hexagons. Do I need maths to solve the angles or what? And your town is placed on 3 hexagons, meaning depending on which hexagon you enter, you actually enter the town at different places. One is the shop, one is the guild, and the last one is your home where you can save your game. Now at the arena, you have this guy who'll go through all the combat for you in the tutorial, with a 2-page picture summary explaining what to do, and then you try it out for yourself. You can also pause the game at any time to open the manual, so that's a lot of reading. You can start to see why this is a game where in my notes, I write, wow, this combat is so cool. And 5 minutes later, I'm so confused. As yep, this tutorial will take 1 hour of your time. And even then, I'm still learning basic combat 15 hours later. It is one of the worst tutorials for a game of this complexity. If it was a typical JRPG with turn-based or action hack and slash, you can get by from your knowledge of other games in the genre. You know, just button mash and you should be fine. Oh, just pick the options from the menu, you know what to do. But for a game with such a gameplay system you'll never see in a single game before and after, this is one of the worst ways to explain the combat. So yes, you will need guides, videos, and a whole bunch of, gee golly, I love trial and error. Do not feel bad at your death, just push through and learn from your experience. Wait, what's that say? Now I gotta explain the combat to the viewer?
Oh god, this is always death.
But the basic gist is that in encounters, it's turn-based, where enemies have this ATB bar, which means they will attack when the bar is red. You can stun them to stop this, but on your end, you got a turn for each character where you can run around on the field, which will start the time, then press X to shoot, and after the circle is charged once, you can press X again to fire 1 round. The longer you leave the circle spinning, you can fire more rounds off, and you do this as long as you have yellow charges here. So you do get more damage, and eventually bonus skills will activate randomly the longer you leave it, but if you let that yellow bar empty, it will end your turn. Then the enemies can also shoot you while you're charging, so what often happens is you either charge 1 round to quickly get it off, or you be greedy and try to go for longer, but then the enemy shoots you and then interrupts your turn. So you want to stand as far away from the enemy so they miss, right? But then if you stay far away, the circle takes longer to charge, as it speeds up the closer to the enemy as you are. So to combat this, you have these bezels where you'll press square to do a hero run or jump, which slows down time, making you invincible, and then lets you close the gaps on the enemies. It is the single best way to attack in this game. However, it uses up 1 orange bezel, and if you have none left, you go into critical mode, where you run around like Goofy from Kingdom Hearts. And you do no damage, and if the enemy lowers your health in this state, you lose the fight. So to keep these up, you gotta break the enemy shield, as they'll have body parts that you can damage to break off, giving you a piece of the orange bezel back. Every shield you break, you get a bezel back, so you should always, on the hero jump, aim to break a bezel so you don't lose any. As you have enemies with shields, will block your attacks if you shoot on the angle where the shield is, but if you jump over them, you can hit their main body. Oh man, this explanation is still going. I got more to read. This is so hard. I'm so tired. I need something to keep me going. I need something to go on. I need.
What do you need?
You to click subscribe right now. So you have two weapon types, well 3 if you're a British football fan, where machine guns do scratch damage, becoming this blue bar. Then the normal handguns can chip that blue bar off, as normally the handguns will barely damage the enemies on their own, so your role is to use your machine gunner to build up the scratch damage on the shield and main body, then you move in with your handgunner to finish off those blue shields. You also got a tri-attack where if you hero action through this blue line, so say 2 people are standing across from each other, if you run through them, you get a resonance point. And with this, you press triangle to set up a triangle. Wow, that's smart. What do you press on the Xbox? Yeah. So you get a team up attack to use all the bars at once to wombo combo an enemy. And if you shoot from the ground, you can launch the enemy up. Then if you jump, you can bounce them on the ground for more splash damage and item spawn. So I think that covers the general gist of the gameplay. I'll explain more things as we go, but you at least understand the combat, right? I did it for 10 hours! Even with the guides, I didn't even know that when your bezels break, you have to pick up the glass pieces on the ground to actually restore it. I didn't know that, I just gave up and cried. So you can understand how, with possibly one of the most in-depth gameplay systems I have covered on this channel, and you have the game explain it to you in this format, and then back in the day in 2010, you had to go online reading game facts or a 4-year-old YouTube site with blurry gameplay guides, you can understand how this game got a reputation like this. But once you understand the combat, it isn't that hard. It's still grindy, but you understand the mechanics now, and it becomes really fun and tactical. Each encounter a puzzle piece, thinking how you can move everyone while looking sick as hell. Because look, I'm not American, I don't know how guns work, and now the game wants me to juggle an enemy like Devil May Cry in the first hour? Another thing is that you can also equip different weapons, so you can have 2 guns to dual wield, or you can use different ammo in the second slot, like fire rounds to defeat enemies' weaknesses, as all enemies either have metal bodies or soft human ones, and they got elemental affinities and things like that. Or you can equip grenades into that slot, where the weapons do burst damage, or molotovs for fire, and by the end of the game, oh I loved you fire bottle. Or you can put one item into the character's hands where they'll chuck out healing items, so if you want, you could just choose everyone to use double guns. It's very customizable, every player will either end up using different setups, even say which character is your machine gunner, because their skills of using that gun are different for the 3 characters. Anyway, after battles, you get the white hex grid patterns as your item drop, which you will then use on the overworld, because, oh man, they didn't just gotta make the combat hard, they also made walking difficult, as you have to use those pieces to unlock the world map, meaning if you don't grind, you don't have as many pieces, so you better save them, eh? Wait, don't put that there, it's already unlocked!
Stupid.
Well, now this is your house. Good lord, what a dumbass house. I guess it's the 3 finding whatever things they could from the old world to use as decorations, but it's also amusing how in this house on the 2nd floor, if you pick Leanne, she won't jump down the hole to the 1st floor, but the guys will. Like, okay, there's some character to this house design. And just to show you how hard this combat was to wrap my head around, I took a 3-day break after playing that first hour, so when I came back to the game, I forgot almost everything, and died to the first enemy I fought. We are still in the prologue! So we see in the cafe, Vacheron obtained this job from this guy, who I kid you not, I forgot was in the opening mission, which I'm only now seeing after editing this video. Because, wait, you're super important! I'm trying not to harp on this too much, but it is insane how this game makes so much more sense on your second viewing, because you can actually focus on the characters and story because you're not fighting for your life, trying to wrestle the combat in your brain. So that guy has this girl. Bro, wine can't be good for a non-French kid. Oh no, she's drunk already! There's also a day and night cycle where you see on the top right where people in towns appear and don't appear depending on the time of day. Where now our missions have us using the core lift, which takes us up to the rich people level. As you can see, the game has this big tower, but then also has some smaller elevators in between, sort of a tiered level system. And our first mission is to deliver this case to this guy.
So beautiful. This crystal, is it really my own?
Oh, I think,
Hold it up to the light.
Look at that. What's happening? What's going on?
Look.
It's mine!
So, what do you think? Is that proof enough for you?
All the proof I could ever need. Here's a little something for my angel. Dreams really do come true.
So, what just happened? No one can explain this? And why is he voicing him? But as we head down, Vacheron says that if you believe that you found your quartz stone, you will live a long, happy life.
Your very own star.
And so heading back. Oh god, random encounter jump scare! And yep, with that done, we finished the first chapter. You don't have to do any side quests, you just head to the cafe and deliver the thing up top. So the side quests just become a way if you want more money or rare items. As you head home and you can advance to the next chapter, or you can quit out of this option to do more of the side quests, because each chapter they will reset. You can only finish that group of side quests in that chapter, you'll get new ones in the next one, so after you're done, come back to this chalkboard to advance the plot.
Zephyr! Lunch is ready! Oh, wake up already! Do you know what time it is?
I was getting ready to go out.
What? Out? Out where?
You're out!
Out? Out where?
So the next chapter is to go join some rich lady for tea in the chandelier, which is what they call the upper echelons, as it's a glistening light above. But to talk to the lady, you have to do it in daytime, because as soon as it's night, you can't enter. And here, I just missed it! So I had to run around here to make time progress. I feel this mechanic doesn't add much gameplay wise. Now I will say I was obviously using a guide for this game. I know. You come to this channel for pro gamer skills where I know everything on a game and have all the time in the world to go through long JRPGs without looking anything up. But just this once, I had to. I mean, everyone was doing it, and everyone was using this guide. It's highly rated. I hated it. I was confused because it said, fix the bridge. That's a bridge? So yeah, don't listen to that guide. Here's the real GameFAQs guide that I like. So Teresa knows Vacheron as he took Zephyr in to look after him years ago.
It took some time, but he'll be all right.
You reap what you sow.
So you take this rose for some reason to go put it somewhere else. A lot of this game is actually explained in the mission memo, funnily enough, where it tells you to go down to level 6 to place it on the graves there. The game in the cutscene doesn't say that at all, as now you got access to the colored hexes. Yep, even more currency you gotta grind for. Oh, this is like a gacha game! Which is another confusing mechanic, where you can exchange 5 color hexes for a same color station that you can place down on the world, and they will act as healing stations or save points. As without them, the only place you can save is at home. So then you also have these energy places on the board, which will say things like, oh, unlock this to do 1.5 items up, or damage, or XP. So if you connect that color station with the same color hex to this item one, and lay down that many number of hexagons, you'll activate the buff on all those hexagons. So there is a lot to this, as you can lay down these on buildings, as that effect will also transfer into dungeons. So say you want to put the XP thing down on a dungeon, you'll now get bonus XP in the place. Or you can also put these on those small elevators where the bonus effect will travel down to the next floor, meaning you can have multiple levels covered with this one effect. So the best strategy is to connect a lot of hexes up and then overlay them onto the arena. So when you do battles here outside the tutorial, you can get over 3 times experience boost, which all the guides say is the best way to grind for levels. But my goodness, you need so many color hexes to use for the same one. And to get them, you may get up to 1 color hex per battle, meaning you may fight and get the wrong color one because you can't pick which ones you want to get. And then if you get any at all, and then the hexes only appear in these specific shapes. So sometimes they don't even fit on the board spaces where you want the bonus XP. Like here, I tried connecting the red one to my save point, and they just wouldn't fit, so I was wasting them. This is what all the guides say to do, that you spend time building this up to make the grinding easier on the arena, as you will need to gain levels for the end game. But it is such a long setup to get the required same color hex, where every fight, you don't know what you're gonna get. You mostly just end up getting white hex pieces, which just open the map up with no more benefit. And even then, the game will give you the same color hexes at the start of a chapter, you know, just a few that you'll usually use to open up a story zone. But you can also use those if you place them down accidentally and waste them, meaning you could lock yourself out of story missions until you grind for those same color hexes again, which is random chance. And after the whole game, I didn't even get some of these color hexes at all. It's another grindy mechanic they just introduced to you.
It's a fake.
If it's pretty, who cares if it's real or not?
Yep, that was one whole cutscene. Back to hours of gameplay! I guess it was to say how this is a fake flower, like how everything here is so desolate. There's no nature at all. It's a very industrial place, this Basel Tower. Now, another gameplay thing I should explain is that the bezels, when you lose them, you'll go into critical mode, but it also happens when an enemy knocks your health down to 0. This breaks the bezels, sending them flying around the arena, and the enemy can also pick them up to heal themselves, so you gotta run around doing it first, as you can't, you know, hero action without these pieces. But remember how I said to gain orange bezels you need to break armor? Well, let's just say if you have no bezels, but you do manage to break armor, so you know you can get some bezel piece back, you won't, because you have nothing there, so the orange bezel can't fit in any slot. So when the pieces are on the ground, you gotta pick as many as you can as quick as possible, which usually means if you get into critical mode, it's probably best to run away or retry the fight. It's so rare for you to come back from this state in the early game and win the battle. But even then, to retry a fight, you gotta pay the man money. Oh lord, I love capitalism, paying to fight again. When money, you'll also need to buy gun upgrades, which is the most important thing you'll need to do to get more damage. Which is why, in this house, we love the PS3 body exploit. Yeah, that was patched out in the remaster. You need money to refight enemies. Otherwise, you have to reload a save all the way back at your house or at a save station that you totally remembered to build and save at recently because you totally understood how they work 5 hours in. And it gets even worse. And say you end up low health or critical, some battles you can run away. However, when you fight again, your health stays the same. So you will start the next battle in critical mode. So you gotta go and rest at home or at a station, or win the fight, which will refill everything back up. It's like on top of the gameplay, understanding how these guns work, the game puts even more pressure on you for no apparent reason. Why not make retrying free? Is it because we're mercenaries?
That's better. These battles are a bit too noisy and smelly for my taste.
Stinky.
As now this Lucia plays for the main quest, where it's a dungeon. Yeah, see, it's a typical JRPG. We gotta go through these hexagons on the map, fighting enemies in each room to find the place you need. And most of these hexagons you can just run through, but some battles will lock the door, so you gotta fight. And this first dungeon is a really good place to teach you the combat, you know, with the limited bezels and the different enemy typings. Like, did you even know that if you hero run or jump into an obstacle, you actually crash? Well then, we defeat the boss.
I see right through you.
Quit wasting my time!
I think that qualifies as mad skills.
So we placed a rose on the grave where men die doing, I don't know what, no one explains what happened here. I don't know, the men just died struggling what men always do, cleaning the toilet. And then you gotta run back out of the dungeon.
You big meanie.
Yep, all the way back fighting the same enemies. If you did equip the healing box to one of the character's hand slots before, you can use an escape rope item which in rooms where there's no enemies will let you warp out of the dungeon. But you have to equip this healing box before you enter the dungeon, as you cannot edit your party once you're in here. Also, the lineup order is important, as you will want your machine gunner first so that their hero action is behind the other two, giving you a free resonance point straight up. As we now get a cutscene where this Cardinal Rowan is talking about how Prelate Frida's final wish was for the hope of humanity, and I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea who this Frida was in my playthrough. It only made sense afterwards, because a lot of these games' cutscenes, as you've seen, leave a lot of things not said. You actually get a bit more lore if you read the mission memos or you talk to the NPCs, so I had no idea what this whole guy's deal was the entire game. Well, now you can buy upgrades in the shop and also scare these gremlins in the street for coins?
What's that?
Where you can buy parts and attach them to the gun to boost things such as your circle charge speed, the accuracy, and so on. As chapter 1 ends, and look, I know I went a lot into the game and you're probably thinking, oh, it's a super serious gun game, it's nothing funny like the older JRPGs. Well,
I'm seeing more than our share of monster attacks lately.
So you think that's why there's been so much guard work?
It's a good guess.
Where's Leanne?
The bath.
Aren't you a sweet young thing? Not getting cold feet, I hope. Whatever are you thinking?
Another monster about to strike.
There's a lot of that going around.
Oh, you scoundrel, you.
Oh, something always happens just when things start getting good!
A monster here?
Hey, not wasting any time.
Are you okay? Hurry!
Come on, get your ass up here.
What?
Must have been some monster, huh?
Give me a break.
So sorry.
You see anything?
Funny. I was about to ask you the same thing.
I didn't see a thing, okay?
Too small for a good look, huh?
What too small?
You're wreck.
Not a single light.
Maybe trouble at the power station. You up for a trip?
Yeah, I am. I'm good in the dark.
and yep, she doesn't want to jump down the hole.
I'm coming too! You didn't see anything, right, Zephyr?
He's good in the dark.
Will you knock it off?
So a blackout now, and you gotta fix the power. But more importantly, you can also use your money to buy outfits. They show up in all the cutscenes. You can even change their eye and hair color. So you know me, I like this a lot. So you go through another dungeon where enemies now have more shields, meaning they'll take longer to defeat. As first you gotta break the shield, then you can scratch the main body. If you can also get an enemy standing the right way, you could actually scratch the main body without having to jump, as you can shoot through the armor into the exposed part. Yep, the angles become very important where you shoot, the placement of your characters. And after this 1 hour dungeon, you'll fight the Tesla Tortoise, which is the first skill check of the game. And over the years, I heard how this boss was so difficult. It took me 10 minutes. Yep, it does this electricity attack, which if it hits, your charge up takes way longer to build up. So you just gotta get your guys behind the cover, which you can shoot through, and just retry a few times, get good RNG where you don't get the electricity ailment. You're gonna hear RNG being brought up a lot in this game, by the way.
Hey, all done. Saddle up. Time to go.
Hurry up, Zephyr. We're gonna leave you here.
I'm used to being alone.
Sorry, did you say something?
Yeah, sometimes these minimal cutscenes really don't add much, as you then use an escape hex to get the heck out of here, where we get another cryptic cutscene talking about how machines ruled over humanity and Rowan mourning over Prelate Frida.
Zenith waits just ahead. The entity you know as God.
Impossible! How could this be our god? A machine? A machine told the final hour of our prelate's life?
It may be difficult to accept, but it's true.
It's not for a machine to determine when a man should die? What meaning is there in such a death?
So, I kind of tricked you. You know this cutscene? That's not from the main game. Yeah.
Huh?
This super important cutscene telling you about the lore of the world, how this Taoist god that everyone worships is actually a robot, you only get it if you wait on the title screen, where it shows Sullivan here telling Rowan all this. Yep, this is all in an entirely missable cutscene. Why? Why are they making this harder than it should be? So Frida had died and Rowan had taken on her responsibility to free the humans from their despair. But he also found out that the god they were worshipping was just a machine. Now this is where it is never said in any story cutscene how she died, yet the Wikipedia articles say that extremists killed her. Yet this super long Reddit post says she died from illness. And in my playthrough, I don't even know who she was. Maybe some NPCs were talking about it? This is the type of storytelling you're gonna get from this game, where 3 different places online are telling you 3 different understandings of a pretty simple plot. Meanwhile, our trio...
And don't forget it. He's the #2 cardinal in Basel. A very powerful man. It'll be a whole lot easier landing the really big jobs with him in our pocket. Perfection. Take a look.
Huh? Ah!
Our secret weapon is ready!
What happened?
What did you do to me?
As we start the next mission. Oh, seems Petar has a thing for our Leanne. So this mission has you needing to go to a rich cardinal who loves art.
What have we here? What have we here? Yes! What have we here? What have we here? Oh, before my very eyes. A seeker of beauty with a certain je ne sais quoi. Her face a veritable canvas. Her meager body struggling to prop it up. Ah, I see. I found the rose!
And he's so wowed by this art that he wants us to get him art supplies down from the commoners, because I ain't going down there with all that riffraff. So you head down another elevator where you'll see these roadblock hexagons, which are enemies that you have to defeat to move on. The red spots are things you should get checked out by your doctor, but on the map, they are boss battles that you can't run away from, but they potentially could give you extra bevel chips. So you will want to do these from time to time. As for the mission, you gotta farm these pieces from the dolls. Oh, very droll. And I finally got the hang of the combat, pulling off the sick tri-attack. But as you can see, one option is to let the meter charge up, or you could keep mashing X to get more shots in. I personally found that mashing X was quicker to break the gauges, gorges. You're gorgeous, especially against the final boss. But I'm sure most people will tell you on their guides is to let it build up instead.
These are his beautiful, dangerous wood sprites? I don't believe it.
That's what you get for accepting work for the wrong reason.
Also, these 3 are great because you actually get so much unique banter when you go into these story maps and fights. The characters will talk and bicker with each other. On the main story, each level they'll say more and more things about it. It's the perfect party JRPG talk that I love, and it actually turns out I'm just enjoying games more when they have a smaller roster and you're not having many characters to swap out. Even after battle, they also got victory quotes that can change depending on how long you took in the fight, or if the monster was easy, where Zephyr will say things like,
That wasn't a battle, that was assisted suicide.
or just this rare one I got never again after 30 more hours.
Justice triumphs again.
I thought you were the bad guy.
Look who's talking.
As we head back, and you got more super important lore that is confusing but post story me will tell you that humanity died out to some illness. So people back then had built this Zenith robot to cleanse this tower, allowing humans to live over here, safe from the world, while it also was able to fuse human souls to these quartz crystals, where it was able to save them from the illness, so humans no longer have it, but their max life expectancy is capped at 100 years, which is a good trade-off for potentially no super disease, you just live to 100. However, if your quartz breaks before this by someone else, you will die instantly. As we get another quest from a different cardinal, where I go and do these side quests and they take a while, but I don't save, and then I do another one, and then I'm stuck in a loop of dying, where I either have to reload my save from 30 minutes ago, or keep losing my money because I keep retrying, making me lose more and more and more. I feel like this is developing a habit. Wow, when did I get here? Now, one reoccurring side quest is called the Rebel Suppression, and my god, this one has so many enemies where it's annoying because on their turn they'll always gang up on you, or say if you're standing and you're charging up your attack, you cannot see off camera who is aiming at you and you always get interrupted. You can use the D-pad to pick your target, and it's kind of annoying because especially when you're jumping in all these camera angles, so say if you want to jump and you fully scratch an enemy shield, you're kind of wasting your second shot in the air on that same turn, shooting the same enemy again. I mean, the blue bars are already there, you don't gotta shoot them anymore. So you would want to shoot someone else. But every time me pressing left or right on the D-pad, up in the air, it made me pick some enemy that was super far away, and that just ended up me losing my next shot. Another thing is that with your resonance points, it will show how long the try attack will go for, so more resonance points means you get a super long try attack. But say if you're not in a good triangle, you know, when you're setting this up, you made your characters go too close together, or there's obstacles in the way of your triangle attack, which will end it earlier if your characters so much as bump into each other, so you can move them around, but you will lose resonance points the more you move, meaning you gotta build it up again to do a try attack. So you gotta be very careful on where you place your character's runs and jumps while you're setting up that triangle. So after 2 hours of side quest, we meet the Cardinal.
Wow.
Oh my god.
It's you, the model for my statue! I knew it a single glance. I'll leave you to see the transport of the statue. Good luck with that.
One thing before you go.
What might that be?
Just what's going on inside of this thing?
Oh, you have a discerning eye, mon ami. Why not take a look for yourself, eh?
Don't mind if I do.
I don't think so! Ugh.
Pussy!
Why is Vacheron like that?
Nutshot. Nutshot.
And thus begins a really weird mission. We gotta get this statue through the dungeon, as it will auto move on this track, while the enemies are trying to shoot it. If you get 0 health, it's game over, and you cannot run through skipping the fights in the dungeon that you've been doing so far. So yep, this game has an escort mission. Oh man, I've had it up to here with your statue. Oh no, it takes damage from me too! And somehow, I made it through to the final boss with the statue's health being this much. Oh god, I'm gonna have to reload my whole save! And so, in defiance, after attempt, literally one tap from the boss and my statue is dead, I finally whittle his health down because I'm standing so close to him, hitting him when he's not hitting me back. And no, he jumps away!
Hurry, way down top.
By the way, leveling up grenades is your third weapon, if I didn't mention this, as your overall level is done by adding up your 3 weapons levels together: machine gun, handgun, and grenade. The guide says you should level them all evenly because you're not going to be using grenades the whole game, but sometimes you just want to level them up as it will boost your overall level, which is very important as this number increases how much health you have. The gun's levels themselves will also unlock these skills, where on longer charges, you might randomly get these skills activated, which can be very good. But the most important thing about the guns is what you actually equip on them. The overall level is purely so you can just tank those longer fights in the end when the boss hits you with some damage. You won't die in one turn. And so we get Zephyr remembering his past, where the summary on Reddit describes this as... Wait, That's in the game? I was trying to avoid making the jokes, you know, the guns, but oh, they actually did it with the guns. Oh no! But yes, in the moment when I was playing the game, I had no idea what was happening here. Doesn't really help when you can barely see it.
A real flower petal.
See the world through one pair of eyes, you miss out on what everyone else sees.
Where do you think it came from?
There. That's it. That's the important thing. Never forgetting the possibilities.
Vacheron? Have you ever been beyond this world?
Can't say I have.
But what about your possibilities?
Could you jump off this balcony? Well?
Well, no.
Why not?
There wouldn't be any point. Not now.
Uh-huh. Because the world isn't big enough. Am I right?
Sure, but so what if it is?
Huh. I'll jump off right here and now!
Hey, hold it!
Oh, take it easy on him.
I wouldn't even be here if he hadn't leapt before he looked. Hey! Wait up!
Oh, they closed the elevator on her. So Sullivan says to Rowan, give me your ring and I'll help modify it so you can control Zenith.
Let me be perfectly clear this once. We're evil men.
Okay. So now we get another Cardinal quest. Damn, we're in the big leagues. We're getting all the rich people quests. And at the shop, you can scrap your items for parts, which you will then use to combine to make those weapon attachments or ammunition for your guns. And some small trick, which will be expanded upon in the money exploit. But if you scrap together any of these compact scope betas, you can actually sell them to her for a lot of money, which I did, and I was able to buy this shiny new gun. And I finally realized, wait, you can equip accessories too? What? Look at how faint this font is! I didn't know this was something you could equip! Bro, I'm just stumbling through this game. I'm not this bad at JRPGs as you know. I was just having a real struggle, which was so amusing because I was really enjoying this. But man, having nothing equipped for 10 hours is just making this harder for myself. So we talked to the Cardinal, which is probably the most iconic scene from the game, for many reasons.
And I want you to fetch me another bottle before I finished my meal.
This is why you called?
Yes.
Damn you! Damn you, woman! And yet...
There's just nothing like real meat.
Oh, it doesn't get any more real than that!
Oh, this isn't over!
If you're serious about letting loose with those bunker busters, don't be surprised when I return fire with my trusty magnum.
Why is he doing that?
No, have to focus. Come on, Vacheron, keep it together. What did she want? Not awards. Wine! Of course! Fermented grapes. Full ripe grapes need fertile soil. That's it. It's so obvious. All we have are raisins. No! One wine. Coming right away, ma'am.
Yeah, I really like this game now. So you gotta go down to get her stuff, and man, even though I was higher leveled, see, not having good gun customization, I was struggling here. I had to retry and retry for 1.5 hours, and then I finally get to this mid-dungeon save point, and I have no money from all my retrying attempts. It's good though because you can keep retrying when you have 0 cash, but it now means you're broke AF, so you cannot buy any more equipment. This mercenary business ain't paying the bills. The challenge I feel in fights is always because they'll put these different types of enemies, some that are long range, some that will charge right at you, even following when you're trying to jump away. And after 2 hours on one mission, I do it.
Which one do you think we should take?
Yeah, take all the wine. We need it.
We'll give one of them to our client.
And the other one?
We'll take care of that one in the bar. What's this? A vintage bottle? 100% Cabernet Franc.
What about this one?
Swell. We'll switch the labels before we go.
Great. I'll be sure to leave a light on for you.
And yep, Zephyr just leaves the party?
I tell myself I can't cry or I'll ruin my makeup.
Aren't you precious?
How about a makeover, Vacheron? Toughen you up a bit?
I'm tough enough. Though the barkeep might look nice with a bright red lipstick mark on his cheek.
Are you talking about making up or making out?
I don't get it, but who cares? We beat the boss!
Sometimes, it only takes the slightest thing to trigger...
Bro, since when are you two friends? And then we get this cutscene and I legit have no idea who this is. I thought it was Frida, like it's a ghost version of her or a flashback of him talking to her. As we see that gremlin, Rebecca, getting drunk on more wine.
If you could speak, it is because you do not speak that I've been able to confess to you as I have.
Yeah, sure, okay. So here's a little trivia where if you talk to this bookcase with anyone, you get nothing. But if you do it as Vasher, he will find his secret money stash, where it will grow the longer you wait in the game to collect it. But I don't care, man, I'm broke, I'll take all I can get. And yep, Zephyr then rejoins the team, and wouldn't you guess it, it doesn't auto-equip his weapons back. Yep, when a person leaves, it will unequip all their guns so you can reshuffle them around and use them on the other two. But if you don't do that, you would assume the game would re-equip them. No, what are you, stupid? This game wouldn't do that. So when you go into a fight not realizing this, oh boy, your fists? That's not gonna work. So we get a little more of Leanne's backstory as we start chapter 6.
Merry Christmas!
Happy birthday, Leanne.
God, having your birthday on Christmas must suck, right? Only one set of gifts as kids, and 0 gifts as adults. I got none for my birthday. So this guy Eurus was looking after her at the orphanage. As it turns out, she was number 20 in experiments on 20 kids, where Sullivan wanted to test out to see if they could predeterminately shatter crystals on a set date. So every kid would die on a set birthday when their quartz crystal broke. And Leanne was meant to die on her 20th birthday. Eurus though, however, felt sorry for her and tried to free her, but he got caught by Rowan. Yet he was like, she only has 1 year left to live, so she's gonna die out in the wild. It's not a big thing. No one's gonna find out the Cardinals were doing this testing thing, so they let her leave. And from Eurus's book that he gave her, she learned that she had only 1 year to live, that she was an experiment. Which is why in the opening cutscene, she jumped to have one last chance of freedom to choose her death, but then Zephyr saved her, and somehow both survived the fall with this flashing red light. Leanne though in this chapter gets a cold, and us two gotta go find medicine. Yep, you got this super cool lore backstory, but then the main quest has you two main party members just going out to find cold medicine. And 2 members means we have no ways of try attacking. I mean, it isn't called duo attack. Well, I mean, 2 people with guns could still do some damage. Hey, look, if you think I'm using this game as an excuse to rewatch Black Lagoon again, you're wrong, I'm just watching the fights on YouTube. But most importantly, is that this is the chapter if you want to make money. Oh, yes. Finally, a reason that I was using those blurry visuals to farm money in this version as much as I need. It's for gun customization, clothing, and not ever having to worry about retrying in this game. I mean, look, either way, I was gonna spend hours farming for some money in this game doing some method. This is the best way, saving hours of your time, and it is the method that everyone uses. I follow the crowd, you know, I'm cool. Where to get this quest set up in chapter 5, you have to talk to this wandering merchant and do her quest. Then in chapter 6, you'll open this elevator down here to this waterless bridge place. You buy these 2 parts from her to help you construct those scope betas again. As we head back to the Ebel shop, where you'll make the beta parts with those materials you bought, and then you sell that scope for money, which you get back more than you paid for those parts at the wandering merchant. You then rinse and repeat, getting more back than you spend, up and down, and after around 1 hour, you'll have enough money to live comfortably in the chandelier. I also was using those green hexes to connect to the rare item drop in the arena, and then I tried the arena, but man, it takes way too long to get to the higher levels. It's 4 fights for every stage. It's not my favorite way of grinding levels in this game. As we finally complete Leanne's medicine quest, just us 2 against these monsters.
Okay, for colds, we have this or this. Take your pick.
Bring both.
Welcome home.
Hi, I guess.
Yeah, she doesn't know what we went through since we last saw her. Leanne, we are rich! And we start chapter 7.
Feel the magic! I can feel the magic!
Who is he talking to?
My grandma used to put me on her knee and tell me stories about this place. On second thought, maybe it was my grandfather. Oh, what? I'm alive!
So he finds that the quartz were all in the mines down below. And so we get hired by the Cardinals to stop that guy. But here you can see how stupid that hex thing is. This town, it's covered in yellow, so you gotta use the yellow hexes to unlock it. And I think, oh, okay, I wanna use the yellow to unlock it and link it to this terminal. But you cannot use yellow hexes here. They just won't fit in the spaces. So even then, you're limited on what color hexes go where. So what was even the point of making so many ones that are all different shapes? You have the hexes that are so rare to pick up in battles that even if you get one of them, you're limited on which buffs you can open. They should have just made one single color, like rainbow hex, in one color that you can use for any of them, keeping the same low drop rates, but at least you would have more to use at this point. Hey, pay attention, this is important to the thesis! Oh, yep, I'm listening. And I mean, I did try and grind for green hexes here, you know, to expand the top arena one, connecting it to the elevator below to connect to this spot, but you need 80 green hexes to connect it up to the arena to get 3 times experience boost. And there was no way I was going to invest the hours to randomly pick up green hexes when I already spent hours in this game doing money grinding, and I'll even do more for grinding for levels later in the game. There are just too many gameplay systems forcing you to grind at once in this game. Like, man, I do all this and fight these huge elephant enemies, I do all this damage, and all I get out of the battle is one stinking item. Why is the game like this? Oh yeah, I should mention defeating enemies that say leader ends the fight early. So if you see a leader, just shoot them first and it'll end quicker. Wait a minute. Okay, so see this map? I learned the shady thugs will give you green hexes. So I think, oh, okay, if I kill them all and not just the leader, I'm gonna get more green hexes. Nope. 1, that's all you get for all the fighting. And look, I'm popping off. I'm fighting all these lower level enemies and still... You really gotta pick which battles you can do. 1 whole bar of damage, that's so unfair! But I do this dungeon fight against 2 super strong guys and I finally got a new machine gun. And that is how, after customizing it, I turned 1 gun into 5 guns. As yep, you attach all these barrels and extenders, grips and scopes, which make no sense physically, but they all add boost to your gun. And you gotta puzzle your way to make as many of them fit onto the gun board here. The devs also did say they wanted to make the gun show up like this in the gameplay, how you customize it, the 3D model to match this picture, but they couldn't get it to work. And yeah, this is how you get good at the game. You farm those gun parts, which is another farming thing. As to even get the best scopes in the game, you need rare monster parts, which will also randomly drop from enemies. Is this game just a farming simulator? And yet it's now been 2 whole hours since the last story scene. Do you even remember what's happening? Because I sure didn't. We haven't even fought in the mine against that crazy guy. So you may start to see why people and myself thought the story was so confusing. You're out here fighting for your life on all these systems, farming all these materials, and then you're like, wait, who is this guy again? This is a game that requires at least 2 playthroughs. First, to understand the gameplay. Or you're watching this video so you understand the gameplay, then when you play it, it'll be a bit easier. Because the gameplay is actually really fun. I love tactics games like this where you have to plan your battle out, sending your troops. I just wish I didn't need to grind so many forms of currency just to stay up to date with enemies. As we finally head into the mines where, yep, this gun upgrade I did made enemies so much easier to get the scratch damage quicker.
My grandma would put me on her knee, and this is what she used to say. People without a heart had no right to live, so now you die!
What about your grandpa?
Who cares?
Well, we kill him as Sullivan is like, WTF, Leanne, you're still alive? Oh no, my experiment, oh boy.
Hey, I think that piece is gonna fall.
Where? How sad.
Meanwhile, someone far away whose quartz that was. Anyway, we now buy a new handgun, which will be one of the best ones that you can use right now. And you sort of see how annoying this upgrading thing is, because this shop has all the parts you need where you're scrapping them together. But wait, to get this part, you need a lower tier part to craft it. Oh, wait, to get that one, you need a lower tier to make it. Wait, then now you need a rookie part? Wait, where do I get the rookie parts? Huh? At the shop next door? The one who sells you healing items? Yep, to make parts, you first gotta get a bunch of rookie parts or these kits at the shop. Then you walk 2 meters to the right to this guy who will use your materials to combine with it to make the parts for your gun. And then you use that part to make a higher piece and then a higher one. It is so tedious having to walk between these 2 shopkeepers just for the one thing. But yeah, just use as much money as you want. You know you're pretty rich. To fully kit out your guns, any amount will help you do more damage. As we finish the chapter.
If Rowan knows of the girl's existence, my position is compromised.
Oh god, she is a vampire! And then you get some tonal whiplash.
Ah! Help me! Ha 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 ha! What foul pit did you crawl out of? This is freaking incredible!
That's disgusting.
So, yeah. The main mission now is for Leanne to go on a date, so she leaves the party again, and we've got these 2 bozos as we go and stalk them. Anyway, I did the side quest, and it's so amusing. With enemies, you have to destroy the shield as, okay, it's easy, right? You got the shield, then you shoot the body with the handgun to kill him, yeah? Yet, I only have 1 bezel left, so I don't want to jump and risk missing and dying and retrying and poor. Remember, if I jump and don't break a shield or kill an enemy with that jump and the final bezel, I lose it and go into critical mode, which is usually a game over. So instead, I stand still and shoot his main body. But this guy keeps turning away so his shields don't face me. It looks like a bug, but I think it's the AI protecting itself. The model just looks so funny doing this, like, oh crap, he's aiming for me, better whip out the... So we fight our way through to see the date of Pata and Leanne.
Is that the stone?
Oh yes, the star of the heavens, the one that you brought me.
It makes a lovely ring.
Thank you.
Are you any happier now that you have it?
Oh yes! Oh, the height of happiness. Absolutely. Then again, I can't help but think of all the people in Basel who struggle every day just to get by. I wish the stone could help others find happiness too, but who knows?
I love how detailed the eye animations are in the cutscenes. Add so much realism.
I had a really good time.
If I took that, this wouldn't exactly be a date now, would it?
Oh, no,
Well, ready to head back?
Take the money, you idiot.
Oh, this is my chance! What foul pit did you crawl out of? You've nothing to fear. This one is for happiness. Eat this, Heavenly Star Punch!
He's dead! And yep, the game doesn't do any more cutscenes. Is he dead? Hello? You're just gonna boot me here to do more side quests? Then you end the chapter where it goes on about these 2.
Zenith uses quartz as a means to control humanity. If we can control Zenith, we will have free reign to extend or shorten lives. However, if a person's quartz should break,
they'll die.
Oh, so he is dead. Well, we could have at least seen Leanne react to it. Anyway, next chapter we get Vash's Law, where he was in the army and was sent to fight out something in Lucia, where they met the drunk vampire Rebecca, who has crazy powers and can talk, saying she hates the people of Basel, because I didn't know this from the game, but during my Wikipedia readings, Rebecca is actually from the outside world, where the illness that plagued humanity mutated evolution, allowing them to have powers and super regeneration. As she goes to to kill Vasher, but Zenith, with a flash of red, saves his life, a divine miracle, which breaks Rebecca's mind, causing her to not talk, which is where Sullivan finds her and takes her in secret to study her powers. By the way, I put these cutscenes together. You only know he survives after 3 hours of gameplay. They make you think he died, then you play as him, then he remembers, oh wait, I'm alive! Our next quest is to meet Cardinal Anturian, who says there might be something in Lucia where we go, and my god, screw these two! Took me so long to beat them. Where I was learning about Full Scratch, which is a random skill all characters have. Vasher is the best at it, where you'll get a 5% chance when you're charging your attack to get a full instant scratch on an enemy. So it turns out for this fight, you just keep trying over and over, praying your RNG hits that you get the full scratch, so you can easily take out one enemy, and then the fight is so much easier when you're fighting 3-on-1. And this dungeon's boss is that car monster thing. Man, his enemy designs are at least pretty cool, but the game itself never explains what are they? I mean, you actually fight humans with shady men who say things like this. But then you got enemies who are just mutated animals. I think they look really cool and fit into the world. And yeah, after 40 minutes, I decided to use shock grenades on him, which helps out so much. And yeah, leveling up grenades will add to your total level count, so just make sure from time to time, you whip these out in fights. Well, back to doing side quests and little things I noticed with how the NPCs actually will change their dialogue over time. Like say this girl whose dad is making her help out be the shopkeeper.
We have salves, medicines, all sorts of things.
To where at the end of the game, she's so pro at her job.
Firearms and explosives on sale now.
Or the shopkeeper saying different things depending on who talks to her.
Leanne. Don't see you in here often. How can I help you? Vacheron, how good to see you.
There is a reason to talk to the NPCs to get more of the world building, but I feel with these lines not being fully voiced, or me just focusing on the gameplay, it was hard to remember to talk to every single NPC every chapter to see what new line of dialogue they will say. Well, we finish off with the lore of Zephyr's backstory, where he was an orphan that didn't fit in. We're at that place they were teaching about their god, but he didn't believe in them because how can they exist when there's so much suffering? Which is why he was driven to commit that school event to see if God would stop him. Yet they didn't, which actually links to the first cutscene I showed you. This is Zephyr after that event. Yep, if you remember all the way to the beginning where you're loading the game, this is Zephyr, Vacheron, and the priest Lagerfield. Vasher shot Zephyr twice to stop his crazed actions, but it seems like Zenith intervened, another miracle saving someone from sure death. So Vasher went, look bro, even your god doesn't want this kid dead, so I'll take him in, which is how these two met, and because of this, Zephyr then saved Leanne from dying. And I'll be honest, when I was playing this, I had no idea this was Zephyr. And still, what even was happening in these scenes? I just thought Zephyr was being moody, as now it's the anniversary of the shooting. He stays home while you two go to lay a rose at the school, and Leanne learns what he did.
I don't know if I can face him. I'm afraid I won't be able to look at him the way I did before.
And I was like so confused. What did he do? Did he just not clean the toilet right? Only after reading up on the game, it details that event. They somehow could see through the visuals here. And I finally understood it. Look, I love deep JRPG plots. One of my favorite games is like that. But when you go 2 hours without any story, you lose track of things on a first playthrough. Suddenly, you're now meant to link this scene to the opening cutscene when they never mentioned it before. With the gameplay is fetch quest and jumping gunplay, fighting weird animal hybrids, hours upon hours farming materials, you forget those little story bits since none of it seems to relate to your gameplay. Like, do the hexes mean anything to the lore? Why in this world can you trick out your gun like this? Does it give you better quick scoping on high rise? If the story is so detached from the gameplay and a majority of your game playtime is the gameplay, the story takes a back seat in your mind on a first playthrough. And I know maybe I could have played this game once and then played it again, I would be like, oh, okay. But I'm trying to give you the experience of someone playing this game and why it got the reputation it did. People didn't understand the story and thought this game was hard, and I agree with them. I was more focused on the grind mindset to even remember, wait, this CGI in the opening? That was Zephyr acting like this? This was him shooting people? It makes sense when you look at the footage again, which is why the game needs multiple playthroughs. Huh. Wait a minute. Guy that kills people he knew. Girl that hates herself. Daddy issues guy. Multiple playthroughs? Hey, hold on! And yeah, why are you annoyed he killed humans, Leanne, when you're killing all these human mobsters? Did you think of them?
Are a bit too noisy and smelly for my tastes.
The gameplay feels so disconnected from this story. You're meant to understand that this guy, oh, he shot a lot of people, you better feel bad. But in the gameplay, that's what you do! I'm doing it right now! And you do it a lot more because you need some resources. Anyway, we return.
Why didn't you wake me up? It's almost noon. Where's my breakfast?
As we learn that illness that wiped out humanity was cancer, where the quartz staved it off, eliminating it from humans, but if it breaks, you get instantaneous death. And then he... Yeah, well, I wonder if he is a bad guy. So Lagerfield is like, damn, I need to get rid of that Zephyr kid.
Nothing I want more than to kill him.
And so Rowan just talks to Frida's ghost, sure. As Lagerfield visits us.
You've been fired from your job, so you can't pay the bills. And by the way, your wife is leaving too.
Well, isn't this a surprise?
And Zephyr goes out by himself, where you gotta play as him to do the fight.
Why did you live while they died? Is your life worth more than theirs? It sickens me to even look at you. Your life is a blasphemy. Your very existence shakes the foundation of faith. Only your death will satisfy me.
And man, is he quick. If you attack him while he looks at you, he goes invisible and counters you with so much damage. This is why your level needs to be high enough to survive these crazy hits when you have a big health pool. What you need to do is keep running and shooting him in the back, like the coward you are. When it then becomes incredibly easy, and you make sure you remember to equip a machine gun and handgun to Zephyr, otherwise you cannot do any scratch or chip damage.
Their blood is on your hands!
Leanne. Why?
You idiot! You wanted to die, didn't you?
Wouldn't it be better that way? I should be dead.
You think that can make up for what you did? Not even close! If you're going to die, at least die with courage.
Why am I even alive?
If you hadn't been there, I'd be dead. Isn't that enough?
I want
Yeah?
Leanne to be happy.
Fair enough.
Then I can die.
Okay, then I'm out. God damn, I love this game sometimes.
You loved her, didn't you?
Wait, so you're not Frida? Who are you? Veronica? What? Oh no, Archie, don't cheat again. Well, next chapter.
What's with this?
This is our first job on our own. It's time for us to make our mark.
We can pick which jobs we take.
I
What?
picked this one.
So this guy wants to get married, but is getting assassin threats because, I don't know, people hate marriages. And that's what Archie was saying. He's not ready for commitment to fake his wedding, so he wants us to, so he then can run off in secret to actually get married, making us be the targets for the assassin. And at the same time, Vasher gets a call from those assassins going, yo, go and kill those wedding people for money, which leads us to playing as him solo. Oh man, I just ran through, but you have to defeat this helicopter boss, which actually was pretty easy. I just kept jumping up and down this line and he never attacked me. As we get into the wedding.
Boring.
I know. Jean Paulet left us a ring.
Sure. You mean this?
Hey, Zephyr, as long as we're here.
Are you crazy?
Scaredy cat.
I am not.
What about the kiss?
Okay. Kiss? Okay. Kiss?
Not so fast! Nothing personal, but I need to borrow your bride.
What? Vacheron?
You and him and you? What the hell's going on? Daddy does not approve!
And we buy a new gun, which we can now dual wield, where it does way more damage, but at the cost of you losing the ability to change ammo type, grenades, or healing. And yeah, since most battles will just now be coming, I keep restarting till I get that good scratch RNG, I'd rather dual wield than try and heal in a fight. Also, your wardrobe in Leanne's room has a secret. On this screen, if you enter these codes, you can unlock these t-shirts, which was removed in the remaster. Yep, another reason this blurry mess is way better. So Sullivan gives Rowan the upgraded ring to control Zenith, where he says how, you know, there might be a resurrection. You know, maybe you could revive Frida. But apparently, according to the wiki, he was lying about this. There was no way to control Zenith. He just toys with Rowan's grief for his own plans. What, you could tell all that from his face? I can barely see his eyes. As chapter 13 starts.
Decided. We'll be handing out presents this Christmas. Any objections?
You're serious about this?
I am.
No backing out.
Don't test me.
Right then. We'll put the holly and the jolly into this show. They won't know what hit them.
Easy. Let's not get carried away.
Wait, delivering presents? This is a Christmas game now?
That was ridiculous!
You? What about me?
Oh my god!
Sorry. This skirt's too short.
Now all we need is a trampoline.
What did you say?
I said the hem looks really keen.
Oh my god, you chuck presents at the kids? This is the greatest game ever! So yeah, the kids run from the reindeer but love Santa. So you just gotta chuck usually 2 presents at everyone and all the dungeon hexagons to finish this. It's such a charming scene with so much effort into it. It's the most Christmas game I've ever played! Yeah, the game where you have 2 people trying to boo-boo themselves and 1 kid trying to boo-boo other kids. There's total whiplash. Why is this in the game?
There's still 2 left.
Those are for you. Merry Christmas.
And a happy birthday.
Oh, you remembered.
How could I forget? After all, it is the day we met.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and besides, it's an easy day to remember.
It's so adorable, I can't! So Teresa invites us to the Christmas Mass, while Leanne thinks about Eurus, who tried to save her way back when. When we go to Mass, and Leanne says Merry Christmas to Rowan, mirroring how she did it all those years ago. But Rowan starts to think, wait, I thought all those orphan test subjects died! Did Sullivan lie to me? Or did Leanne actually resurrect? But she was meant to be dead after we freed her, so can Frida be revived as well? Can I think for myself? Also, I guess spoilers from here on for the final boss and how this game ends. I will do like a post wrap-up, try to explain the general plot and what I believe it is, since you're probably as discombobulated as I was at this point. And I didn't have a YouTuber trying to explain things as I went. So Rowan and his maybe dead wife says that Leanne was one of the orphans who survived, which was something Sullivan didn't want him knowing. So he starts to get sus about old Sully, and he mobilizes his troops to storm that research facility where Leanne was kept. But Eurus won't leave since he promised Leanne that he would wait for her and see her on her birthday, you know, it being now Christmas and all, where Leanne leaves us to go find Eurus on her own, and once again you're playing as the two guys. Man, they really don't want us to do the tri-attacks, huh? But no, we chase after her.
Dangerous place for a lady to be walking all by herself. Care to hire some hunters?
We deliver wine, help make statues, even stop the odd terrorist.
Please, don't try to stop me. My mind's already made up. I appreciate all you've done, Vacheron. You kept your distance and gave me time to think things through. And of course you too, Zephyr. If it wasn't for you, I'd never have thought about going to see Professor Eurus.
Professor?
There's something I want to tell him.
Oh, believe me, that's way too much trouble. They're not gonna let you just waltz right in there.
You gonna kidnap him? Go in guns a-blazing? Not very ladylike.
Would you just stop already? I'm gonna lose my nerve.
You're just going to pay him a visit, right?
Leanne, how do you know he's even still alive?
I don't. But his chances of surviving were probably better than mine.
Well, no more rain to hide those tears.
Come on, let's go have a look.
Time's a-wasting.
Thank you.
And so we gotta go into the base where Rowan's troops are. And man, are they tough. This was incredibly hard to fight anything here. I think I needed another weapon upgrade round, but I didn't really want to grind for more materials, so I just tried to zoom as fast as I could. Where this dungeon has a new mechanic where you gotta find a switch to open the final door. By entering here, exiting on the right, going all the way around to this one, turning on the switch, where you also will find in this room another good gun. The place outside also is a good place to farm grenade levels, so I put a station outside to fight, run away, heal, and save, and repeat for a bit. And the dungeon boss was pretty cool. You fight these guys when you enter, and then you have to hide on these barriers, where you can only damage the turrets while they are raised. So you gotta swap around who you're focus firing on.
You're right.
I'll probably get in more trouble while you're asleep, so will you
I think you need to not skip leg day, Leanne.
So much has happened. I don't even know where to start. I jumped. I was saved. They've been so nice. It's been so much fun, and I've learned so much. I didn't come here hoping for an apology. Things happen that we wish hadn't. It's true for everyone. I know that now. But there's something I want to tell you. I'm alright. I'm going to be alright.
Wow, so heartfelt. I guess we got to escape now? Oh, I don't have an escape hex.
Run for your life!
While Sullivan frees Rebecca, taking her to the outskirts of the town, giving her a crystal saying, hey, destroy it if he doesn't find her in time, as Eurus tells us the whole Leanne deal. He says that Leanne's crystal must have been swapped by Sullivan, which is why she's still alive. Her internal clock didn't die because her quartz didn't break. Someone didn't smash it. And Zephyr gets mad that Sullivan has it, so we go after him. Man, is this the whole reason we were fighting? I was seriously so checked out on the story while playing this, but now when I'm rewatching it, this is so cool! Why, oh why couldn't it have been structured better?
A stone breaks, and a person dies? I guess I'm too stupid to understand.
Well, we now get more outfits and... Bro, what? Your washing machine will moan, huh? Speaking of, you can actually find these animal clothing in the game as costumes, or even these fake swimsuits, which is just so amusing on a conceptual level. Clothing with pictures of swimsuits. I guess that helps get around the ratings board. I then try to get an even stronger weapon in this side quest, and I literally can't, because I don't have the color hexes to open that dungeon. I ain't farming hexes no more, okay? You broke me, game. So we go after Sullivan, fighting his guards. It's kind of funny, my whole gameplay formula is just, retry a few times and you just get that full scratch on a random chance and you easily win.
I was in charge of the laboratory Eurus used to carry out his experiments. Experiments that, in my opinion, were quite invaluable. We mapped the courts of 20 newborns and programmed one to die each year. For 19 years, it went according to plan. But on the 20th, we encountered a glitch. I'm sure you've guessed by now. Your corpse is in my possession.
Let's have it.
Kill me, and I've arranged for her corpse to be destroyed. Would you care to test that arrangement?
And so Rowan says, well, Sully, you henty protag looking fuck. If you survive this, then I'll believe in God's miracles. And he shoots him, yet he dies. So Rowan thinks, okay, if Leanne now survives, she's immortal, as we flee. Leanne says, oh, thank you too for giving me a life to live, but Sully said my crystal would be destroyed. So before I die, I want to go see Rowan to ask him one final thing. And why didn't you ask him when we were back there? Zephyr can't stand this, as Leanne is his only reason to keep going. And Vacheron, I guess, just likes shooting guns. And now it's the final chapter.
If ignorance of one's sins is itself a sin, then I have sinned mortally, and I deserve to die.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I mean, it's my job, right?
So Rebecca breaks that quartz crystal because I guess it wasn't Leanne's and she's still alive. Sullivan didn't give her the quartz as we were led to believe, because some other random bozo had a heart attack. While that random lady we kept seeing over the whole of the game, this is the last time we'll see her. Praise to that robot god. Look, later lady, have her kings. Robots can probably clean the toilets better. So that artist guy and old cardinal say they'll fight for Rowan, as the Basilica becomes the final dungeon, where you go through and fight the artist.
Oh, I'm impressed. You've developed since I last saw you. The fat melts away, leaving sculpted muscle in its place.
Huh? You mean me?
And oh boy! So he's got guys that shoot, but these two ladies, who one will shoot electricity, the other poison, and poison removes your scratch permanently for the fight. Shock stops you from charging up quicker, so I was just praying for my full scratch to hit on his health bar, and after 15 minutes of re-attempts, I got 2 full scratches. Let's go! And of course. And so, 1 hour afterwards of non-stop attempts.
Tell me, Leanne, how did you come to be who you are?
I lived each day following my heart.
What a splendid answer. Prelate Frita's ideal being made flesh.
Why is his mouth moving? And so, Yep, out the door to go and rest and save. As thankfully you don't have to do the final dungeon in one go. However, the rooms will respawn with enemies, but you can just run past them. And any damage you take in the crossfire, just find an empty room and you heal scratch damage as you run around in circles. Oh my god, I knew I wasn't prepared, because for the next boss, you gotta go left and right here to open the door in the middle with these switches, where each side has a mini boss, and this giant guy did so much damage to me. I couldn't do this room, so I knew I had to grind. That's what I did. I grinded and grinded all those coffee beans. I literally put on a podcast and just grinded for 1 hour. And where did I grind? Oh, maybe you think I finally gave in and got all these green hexes and grinded for them to put down to make the arena give me 3 times bonus XP. No! I fought this side quest where it has a level 92 old man. You scratch him, shoot, don't kill. You can tank one of his hits, then you run away from the fight, heal, and retry. I did this for 1 hour, used some grenades, and got 20 levels, so everyone was around level 80. Surely I'm ready to beat the game, right? I mean, I don't have those guns with the crazy scopes, but I put in the time to grind, right? I should be fine, right? Oh no, why is there still 3 hours of the recording left? So thankfully those side bosses were now easier, as Vacheron unlocked with his machine gun new skills where if you charge him all the way up, he may have a 15 15% chance of full scratch. So you leap and pray for it to proc, Leanne you do more scratch damage, and then you pick it all off with Zephyr. Then just retry if you don't get the best RNG, you have enough money to keep retrying for a long while. And Zephyr skills now will also break gorge the enemy, making them confused for a few seconds if it hits. As we open the door to the second boss, the Old Man, where he hates Statement! The guides say to kill everyone before him. Bro, after 30 minutes, I just focused on him and I easily won. Alright, 2 more doors to unlock. And wow, okay, 2 full scratches again. Man, the music's swelling. This is so hype. I can do this. This super hard game I can actually beat. And even this boss, I just stand in the corner and he's so stupid. I found these strats myself, by the way. The guide I was using gave up detailing how to do all this because they are like, buddy, I'm so over leveled, so these fights were easy for me, so I don't know what strats do for you people who didn't grind. And I'll miss game facts when someone shuts down the site in a few years. See, it's fine, any damage you take, remember you can just run around and heal up any scratch damage, back up. So I go out and say, then run back to fight the final boss,
There's
Rowan.
something I wanted to ask you.
I'm listening.
I believe everyone has a path they're meant to walk. Do you regret yours?
I have no regrets. I chose the path I walked. Wherever it leads, I will accept the fate that awaits.
I'm glad.
What a curious girl. Why don't you hate me? Do you think you're some kind of saint? You may not want to kill me, but that won't stop me from killing you!
No, but maybe this will. Shooting someone in the back. Not very sporting of you.
You really want to see a miracle?
Are you going to show me?
I don't think you'll live long enough to see it!
And he has so many guards. Apparently, he will keep respawning them while you take them out, but I don't wait to find out. I used my last boss strategy. I was going all in on him. Well, he has full armor, so you gotta take that out first and then do the full scratch chance to win, right? Hit that 15% chance and it's easy. It doesn't work? What? The entire game it worked, and on the final boss, this skill doesn't work? Like in JRPGs, when the boss doesn't get affected by all those ailments, this game does that too? I try again. Yep, he is immune to full scratch percent chance. Okay, I try for 30 minutes other strategies. I leave and bring different ammo. Some guy said to use armor piercing rounds, yet when I do it, it does less damage because I'm only using one gun to have ammo in the other hand. Something isn't right. And Rowan heals his scratch when he walks. Yep, just like we do. Anytime he waddles, he gets back to full health. So when you scratch with Vasher, then you have to swap to Zephyr to pick off that blue bar. By the time you're swapping over, he heals it back so quickly, so you barely take anything off. I even got a super long try attack on him and could barely chip his health. And so, 1 more hour, I tried. And tried. I looked up guides. Everyone was using different strategies, as everyone had different levels. They all had different gun ammos. Some people even had their machine guns at level 100, which is insane to me. Other people just did the arena grinding. Some people went to Netherland, not with Michael Jackson. But the previous boss lets you unlock this super crazy dungeon with these black hexagons, where people are like, yeah, you need to be over level 100 to fight it. So that's out of the question for me. I was so stumped. It was 3 a.m. I was going insane, and then I found this comment. Rowan can be set on fire? Like a regular human? Hey, wait, remember that basketball boss? Why did his health go down so quick? Wait, that symbol. I did set him on fire, so his health went... And so I try it. I had no fire ammo, so I just had the basic Molotovs. Yes, I knew they would help me all this time. And It works. When on fire, he loses so much health as the seconds go, so you can just keep chipping it off with Zephyr, but he heals that fire status pretty quickly, so you gotta hope that in the fight you can do it twice. And turns out, just outside the Basilica, there is a station that will boost, guess what? The chances of enemies being set on fire. It's like the devs knew this was the strat you needed. So I link that up to the church and go back in. I dodge his minions, set him on fire. Oh, wow, more than half his health. No, wait, he's cooling off. Please, Zephyr, burn him again. Oh my god, I did it again. I knew these were the answer. And we beat him.
After all he's done?
So the shot misses, revealing a Zenith mark as Zenith saves Rowan and we leave. And all the bosses get revived by Zenith. Rowan gives up his plan, believing there's some higher being that let him live in a true miracle. Sullivan is somehow alive, meeting Rebecca on the outside as the three of us also leave, with Leanne showing us a quartz crystal firmly in her hand, not having to die. The end. I can't believe it. This game, which everyone says was one of the hardest RPGs, do you know how much health Rowan has? I actually beat it! And it was the weirdest experience because I felt so empty inside. Never have I seen a game with so many pieces of the puzzle to make it a truly outstanding game that everyone would be raving about for years to come if it just didn't fail in its execution. Sure, okay, the plot was messy at times, doesn't explain things like Sullivan coming back, or maybe he used those immortal genes he took from Rebecca since she kept biting him. Maybe that's how he lived? But like a lot of things in this game, it is not told to you outright in the cutscenes. Resonance has all the hallmarks of an amazing game, but the way it's told, it's so disjointed. This took me 30 hours to beat. How long to beat says 50 hours. And I know most of that was just people grinding, where the cutscenes are only 3 hours long. That's 1/10 of the JRPG showing you the story. And even then, a lot of the cutscenes are just fluff, which I'm fine with, you know, I'm fine with these. But when a story is laden with themes about God, death, humanity, poor versus rich, you can't expect players to grind for 2/3 of a game to get small story snippets. Remember, one of the most crucial cutscenes only plays when you wait on the title screen. Even another thing, okay, turns out, you know, you can find out why all those animals are mutated from a random NPC, meaning you would have to talk to every NPC every chapter to find this out if you didn't know. They all have new dialogue each chapter, there's multiple floors, so to understand the lore, you gotta do this all on your first playthrough instead of spending time grinding or in addition to it, which I guess is where the multiple playthroughs come in. I mean, you even unlock harder difficulty on New Game Plus, where it does carry some things over. Like, they want you to replay the game to understand on a second attempt, but they don't outright tell you that. It's just such a weird game because when I look back at the story, this all sounds so cool. I really should have loved this, but the game needed something easier to digest. You can keep the hard gameplay, but reward players with more story that is told more cohesively. Or keep it as is, but make the game quicker to get through on one playthrough so you can replay the story again. You know, Nier does this, and one playthrough of theirs is way shorter. You don't need to grind at all to complete one playthrough. But yeah, I'll go over what I believe the general plot is in case we all need some refresher. So this Earth is in the future. Humanity has died out to cancer, but a small section survived due to Zenith, a supercomputer that humanity built, helped clear out this place at Cog Tower that is now livable. And it also saved the humans by fusing their souls with quartz, letting humans live naturally to 100 years without any crazy illness. However, if the quartz breaks before that, you will die instantly. And so this living inside the tower led to a class system. We have people and animals mutating below, and humans from the outside are still evolving like Rebecca, having now bodies that regenerate. Essentially, they are immortal. As now in Basil, the leader Frida dies, so Rowan wants to take up her goal to help humanity to be able to go out again. Sullivan, though, uses this grief to control Rowan, manipulating him as he's doing all these experiments to try and find immortality, which I guess he does by the end. Zenith will also save humans from random time to time from death, like Vasher and Zephyr. Vasher was a soldier in the army, and Zephyr was a kid who was disillusioned with the world and shot out. He then learns from this and atones by saving Leanne, who herself was an experiment from Sullivan, where he wanted to control the quartzes and she was meant to die at the age of 20. However, someone swapped out her quartz, so she didn't die. That is the overall gist of the game, where now Rowan gives up the leader thing of fighting Zenith, and the trio leave the tower to find a better life in the wilds. It's such a similar tone to other JRPGs that deal with heavy topics of death, humanity, God, faith, but only after beating the game and reading multiple people's write-ups do I get the full picture. And I'm not even sure where some of them got it. Like, there's contradictions on how Frida died. They say that this lady is called Veroni, when none of the cutscenes you were told that is her name. So it must be some NPC or some chapter or mission memo that you have to talk to who would say this. So a lot of the game is you talking to NPCs to infer about the world. Oh, that's why the dogs are like this. Well, you could have just had data logs or some other way to tell the lore in the story, because NPCs in most JRPGs only give flavor text to expand on the lore, not help build the bricks to it. Like, the story cutscene should have mentioned who her name was, then the NPCs can talk about the extra lore on her. There are only 3 hours of cutscenes that barely explain the world, while some cutscenes are wholesome or unwholesome. You're left then with like 2 hours of cutscenes to explain a game that's meant to be 50 hours long. You cannot expect every player to talk to every NPC every chapter when they're out here fighting for their lives, trying to earn hexes or money or gun parts. They really needed more story cutscenes when you're dealing with such a serious tone of death. Like, you have Pater die, and it literally boots you to the overworld. You don't get any time to see Leanne's reaction to this. You can now spend hours doing more side quests or grinding. The guy that just died right in front of her, someone who has thought about it herself, how would she react to this? The game then shows you her reaction to finding out Zephyr was a killer, yet when this guy dies from his quartz breaking, you know, which is something she was worried about what happened in her life. She knew that she was an experiment. She knows that her quartz is gonna break. That's why she did that in the opening cutscene. Here is someone who literally dies from the things she's fearful of, and there's no reaction from her in any cutscene. There's just one panning shot of a photo of them too, at the end of the chapter. So after that scene, you could grind for 5 hours, where you return home after grinding to advance the next chapter. Then you see this scene of the cutscene showing the photo, and you're like, wait, when did this happen? No one will see this cutscene, then go to the overworld, then hurry over and start the next chapter straight away, because you've been conditioned to grind. You're a Sigma grinder now. You're gonna take the time to grind in between chapters, so you're never gonna see these back to back. You know, with all this, I didn't even get to speak much on the other aspects of the game. I was so focused on the gameplay and story, because man, it does those other aspects pretty well. The presentation of the game is outstanding, making the single tower feel so lived in. You can feel where it's getting more desolate the further you go down. Enemies become stronger. People grow disgust at you for wearing clothes from the top. Even high up, you don't get any random encounters, because why would monsters be there? Then the characters, the game does such a good job of introducing you to the dynamic of these three. They will bicker and banter in gameplay and in cutscenes, just getting up to all silly things. You know, speaking of which, I don't think I've ever seen a game do the jump cut so well in the cutscenes. It's as good as some of those YouTubers you watch who do those jump cut jokes a lot. But then doing all this, making you care about the characters, and then, okay, just shoving these backstories where you're now meant to connect them to the opening cutscene. Like, you know, people meme when shown in anime do all those backstory flashbacks every single episode. Well, I don't know, man. After 25 hours, I would have appreciated one flashback. Just show that opening cutscene in a flash. I would have linked it then. Like, you know how all these people got saved by Zenith with that eye flashing, right? Well, you probably don't remember this, but I showed in the falling cutscene. As Zephyr saves Leanne, you see Zenith's eye here, and this is how those two survived that huge fall. It's never brought up in the game. You're meant to connect the dots later. So when you know the Zenith miracle thing when it's saving people, why would you then go, oh yeah, that's why they showed Zenith in the opening cutscene when I didn't know what Zenith was? I remember that flash of the robot because I have the memory of an elephant.
Don't patronize me.
Oh, sorry. The game does these things which aren't said, which games are allowed to do, but paired with the super long gameplay grind, it doesn't work. Like, can you see how it's so close to greatness in the game and all it needs are these smaller things to help the cohesion? Which leaves me with such a weird feeling because this game really, truly should have been more remembered and talked outside of it, you know, being sick Tony Hawk American High School Simulator. For instance, did you know there's a manga of this game which may or may not detail a post-game story? Why don't I know what's in it? Because you cannot find it anywhere online. And the one link I found to its translation, someone bought the domain and the site is full of viruses. No one has preserved it. Even a game I covered, Enchanted Arms, you know, niche PS3 era game, it had its own mini manga. That was translated and is still available for you to read online. This game doesn't have any videos on its story details. Everyone is making guides on the gameplay, as it was known as one of the hardest JRPGs. And oh boy, it sure was, but it didn't need to be. There were so many things that could have made it to be more accessible, you know, no money on retrying, having the color hexes be one color and not as many of them, or you could change the parts of them to not be a set shape, making parts or buying weapons easier with not just money. You don't need monster parts to craft these weapons, but this is what Tri-Ace wanted. Remember, there was pretty much no scrap content. They wanted you to feel like a scrapper in this Junkland, using monster parts to make weapons. They wanted that difficulty, where they patched out money exploits in the remaster, adding nothing else, nothing to improve the story, the gameplay. A game where on New Game Plus you'll unlock harder modes. They wanted this game to be a long time sing, feeling sort of similar to gacha games where you have so many currencies you have to grind just to keep up. They had the actual chance to fix a huge thing in this remaster, like a visual going, whoa, bucko! Looks like you're gonna review the game without playing it a second time. And I feel because of this, the only thing people remember about this game are the cool visual gameplay and how hard it was. But if not, it could have reached similar heights to the Nier franchise, a game that literally released in the same year that is also post-apocalyptic due to an illness destroying humanity, tackling life and death themes, yet Nier did it more cohesively. Look, that game was also jank on the PS3, but it garnered a cult following and now has a sequel, which people are saying saved the Japanese game industry. Resonance though could have easily grabbed a slice of that pie, and it did have a more unique gameplay than Nier, but that difficulty just made so many people drop it all those years ago. And even if people beat it, they would have been confused on the story. Like with Nier on one playthrough, they needed some indication on, oh, now things will make sense if you replay the game. They should not have to have 5 hours in between story segments because you get stuck on grinding. You either need more story cutscenes, which will maybe expensive to do, but you cannot have that cutscene be a small scene that, okay, it's back to the mines for 2 hours to the fetch quest. A lot of this game's grinding can also be just purely increasing your numbers. I wasn't learning how to get better at the combat. I just had to do the same thing over and over to see my level number go up, hex number go up, or money go up. If you cut 10 hours of the grinding, it would have had more time for you to focus on the story in your mind. You know, in Pokemon Nuzlocke, when people grind in them, they usually put 2 times speed, since you know that's not the main aspect of the challenge. When you're fighting basic enemies, sure, you may die randomly, but you're mostly going to be okay. So people just speed through that grind because that's not what they want to focus on. Or they'll use rare candies to boost their levels to match the gym leaders. They cut out the busy work of grind in a game. And here, I really wish they cut some of it out. I didn't need to spend 10 hours of my life grinding a number up just to beat this game. Like on few of my recordings, I would spend one session playing 3 hours at a time, and this would be all I would write down. And okay, sure, maybe you like this difficulty. Maybe you like the grind. You like the story as it is. It stood out from the crowd at least. But because of that, for a majority of other people, this is all they knew about the game. It's super hard and super confusing, and now no one talks about it. While Nier is a game that did the exact same themes in the same year and was similarly janky, is now remembered fondly, had a great remaster that fixed its gameplay, and a sequel which people claim saved the industry. I feel Resonance at least should have got some of those fans, but also you can see how it didn't do those things like Nier to achieve that level of status from the gaming community. Resonance of Fate is touted as one of the hardest JRPGs, and I can believe that. And have you seen how hard the guns are? Metal all the way. Yes, it drops you into one of the worst tutorials you will see, where you need guides to even explain how the tutorial works. And even then, you're learning new things 10 hours in. There is so much grinding, from monster parts for your weapons, money then to buy the parts, hexes to even open the map for you to walk to places, hexes to boost experience, doing the experience grinding itself. So many hours that did not need to be in such a deep game when they wanted you to think about death and humanity. It really has a great trio of characters, some memorable side characters too, and a world that feels so unique, looking so shiny in the daylight to mysterious at night. This tower of cogs run by a supercomputer in the wilderness, where the rich live up high in their glass ceiling, living the opulent life while the poor people are mining quartz down below. The music has the grandness of JRPGs you expect, with rock motifs to fit that gunslinger vibe. It really is an outstanding game given by who made it and what other games they did at the time. Like, I haven't played much of their other catalog, and this was my first great impression to a Tri-Aces full game. I just feel so bad for people who couldn't give it the chance because of the grind you need to even get through one chapter. Like, okay, do it again and again for the next boss. More people should really know about this game for its setting, world, and characters. One with such dark themes, with a world that you rarely see in games, and a gameplay system that will probably never be done again. Where you go guns blazing to chip enemies' health bar off, breaking body parts, making it feel as slick as any action movie. You know, it just has so many mechanics. Like, afterwards, I found out if you actually cleared out all the hexagons on the tiles on a floor, like all of them, you know, just wipe them all out on the floor. When you put your save station here, it can actually let you warp back to your home base. Yep, that was never explained to me. I was running back and forth up the elevators. And can you imagine if I didn't load this onto my PS3 hard drive? How long would this loading take? This is really an unforgiving game because it asks so much of you. And you're left feeling empty by the end as you have to look up what the story means. And then you see you're one of the only few people who beat it, and not many others saw through to that ending or even understood what happened. And even then, absolutely no one is talking about it outside of now going, wow, isn't the gun combat epic cool, Reddit? Holy moly, thanks for the Reddit gold! Where similar games released in the same year got a cult following, it is unfortunate that with the amount of time you have to put into this game, it never got a similar appreciation. There is something really grand hidden within this game because we are never getting a game like this again. And so, you should enjoy that grind while you can. And that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed me tackling a backlog game that's been on my list for ages. I really hope more people try it out at least. And hey, if you enjoy this video, why not subscribe to the channel? And hit like on the video to help it out. I do a lot more on similar kinds of games. You can also check the description for all my social media. And until then, I shall see you all in the next video.